Welcome to Responsible Chicken Breeding. Look, the stars aligned and we're both here.
oh, that's really a good line. You didn't even have that written down, did you?
Nope.
No. The stars did align. I'm trying to think. You and Jeff, last show we did right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was. I was with the chicken coop guy the last time, and your Wi-Fi was out.
That's right. Oh yeah. How was the coop guy?
He was very kind. I think he's very nice. I don't know what everybody else thought, but it worked out. We got through it without you. Would have been better with you, but.
Well, I think. There's Beth. Beth's back. Beth's like, hey, welcome back, Jim. It's like welcome back, Carter. Remember that show?
Yes, actually, I do. You've been to Africa and back, I think, twice since we.
No, only once.
Only once.
I was in. We had our global, our executive council retreat in Senegal, Africa, and we were evaluating some birds. And there's my buddy Steven from Cameroon there. But I live in Cameroon. He's a good chicken man. That guy right there is. So, anyways, but yeah, I was in Senegal, and I've been home. But then Thanksgiving kind of came upon us, and I've had, matter of fact, my mother-in-law who lives in how far from you? She only lives 30 minutes from you.
You miss me? Yeah. Yes, she only lives 30 minutes from me. That's right.
Yeah, she's in Pittsburgh, and sweet. That's Rip, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yo, Rip! Good to see you, buddy. Well, I can't see you, but
hey, speaking of, let me interrupt the show for some flagrant self-promotion. So this Wednesday, on Rip's show or on Gold Standard Poultry Solutions in YouTube or Facebook, the two of us are going to be talking about record keeping, and he's gonna. I don't know how from. If you look at what he promoted it as, you'll learn why to keep good records, what records to keep, and how to keep them. In order to cover all that, I think the show is going to be like 6 hours long, so I'm not sure. So
Rip, she's the best record keeper ever.
So not for the faint of heart, but join us on Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Gold Standard Poultry Solutions if you
That's awesome.
are interested. So.
That's awesome. And I was getting and I don't know that we were on the show since you went to the chicken show with me.
Nope. That's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah.
Actually, that'll be part of our conversation today. She just said. But before we go there, tell me about the land and the birds, and are they all moved or what's happening?
So close. I took another 75 birds over last weekend, a few days ago. So I have 15 left in my backyard. So
wow, that is weird.
160 over there, 15 over here. So we're working on it.
Now, for the fun of it, in all of your years of me involved in mentoring you, what was the highest count of birds you ever had at your place?
So back when I had Welsumers, Australorps, and Rhode Island Reds, I think you came to select one time, and they were all at different stages, but I had 300-ish birds at that point. And when you came for that selection, I said, Jim, I can't do it. Help me out. These Welsumers need to go.
That's when we got rid of the Welsumers.
Yeah.
And then your mom and dad took the birds to Kansas.
Yep. Road trip. Yep.
The Mad Hammers. Yes. So why is there only 15 left?
Well, I've only made 2 of the structures. I still got a lot of building over there to do.
Now, what about all your mice? They're going to starve to death.
Well, I have some barn cats now. There are a lot less mice than there used to be. Now I'm worried.
And how's the kennel business?
Catching up. It's been busy. So
it's been very busy, I bet.
Yep. Yeah,
very
this
busy.
is holiday time. So
and
go ahead.
Any are the predators attacking the new place at all?
Don't ask that, but not yet. So far, all of the solutions I've put in place have worked. So
listen, I've told you, and I say it everywhere we go. It's not a matter of if you're going to deal with predators; it's when. So, anyways, Beth says I only have 42 chickens. Well, imagine what Karen's like in 162, and she tries to do well. She does do amazing record keeping, Beth.
Wow.
So,
well, and that's still, again, I have to caveat that with the fact that a lot of that is because I still have 80 pullets that I have not selected yet. I need, some of the pullets have been called out, but I need to let them start laying and get some records on them before the girls get selected. So I'm still holding on to the grow outs. So,
well, have you, that's great. That's great. Matter of fact, I got to come look at girls.
Yep.
Around the 1st?
Nope.
Of the year?
Nope. I want to go further if we can.
Oh, good.
Let's not talk about that here, but.
Well, why? It's a small talk.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry. But yes, I think.
Well, since we're small talking and, there's a lot of poultry shows going on. Lots. Have you seen all the drama of it's just crazy. And all of the standard revisions and elections and,
That's okay. So everybody vote. If you have in the 4th district that I'm in, I don't have a district director. There's just one candidate. So I think
but you have 3 presidents and 3 VPs.
Yep. So everybody.
And we won't promote anybody on our show.
Do your research and decide who.
The only thing we're promoting, if you want to do a write-in, you put Karen Johnston as president and I'll be her VP.
No, neither one of those are accurate.
So, that was fun doing your mails, though. I love the new property, and I'm loving. I'm excited about what you're doing over there. That was really fun.
Well, it's gonna be. I have to hurry up and build faster because I don't. While I have them over there, they're all in small groups now, and I don't want to go backwards. I want to get back to Pedigree. So, real quick now, I need to build a bunch of individual pens before hatching season. So,
well, isn't the guy we had on the last show? He helped you build those individual male pens. Oh, those are different.
But I need to get. I mean, they can't just live in that little. I cannot let them live in that little 2x3 enclosure at all times. So I've got to get yards built for them.
Yeah.
Don't hit your.
Well, we have a ton of small talk today.
Okay. I know.
All the big shows are canceled in Germany because of COVID. Well, who knows? We may have a few more shows canceled come our way. But right now, Ben, they're all happening. And there was 3,000 plus birds in Knoxville yesterday. And there was a big show in Columbus, Ohio. And there's a lot of, I judged in South Carolina a few weeks ago. And I don't think their numbers were up, but man, poultry shows are on the move right now in the U.S., that's for sure.
All right. So on that note, you want to go ahead and talk about the show that I finally went to?
I judged in Morganton, North Carolina, on October the 30th. That's the one you came to, right?
Yep. I'm gonna play a little slideshow just for fun of it.
Oh, okay.
I will have to say, after being at a poultry show, I don't know how you stay healthy. You put that Sharpie everywhere. You put it on the birds. You put it on the ground. You put it in your shoe. You put it in your mouth over and over and over again. So I just was thinking that.
Yeah, that is very true. You mean you're wondering how I'm still alive without some kind of chicken disease?
Yeah.
Hey, ask Rip, man. You gotta have I gotta have 2 or 3 different colors of Sharpies, and you gotta have a pokey stick. I don't think I had one that day, did I?
I think you
did. But anyways, that was fun. I didn't realize you took all those pictures.
Yeah. I got bored. No, I'm teasing. So
that was your first show clerking.
Yes. That definitely
So,
makes you're much more involved doing that than you are just attending one. Because I've been to a couple of shows before, but you know, one being new to it and not really knowing what was going on, but they also theoretically tell you to stay away from the judge when judging is happening. So, you just sort of go away and talk in the lobby and then you come back and you see who won. So it was definitely much more enlightening to be with you.
yeah.
So,
Poultry judges have a lot of antibodies.
yeah.
It's true. We do.
Well,
We do. So I'm curious, what'd you learn from that?
good and bad, right? So I learned that one.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Start with the bad.
Start with the bad. Well, that's what I was going to start with. See, that you fit my personality. You did good there. That you got to go to the right show if you want to have any birds that are bigger than this. Yeah. So if I
What she's talking about is, well, I was going to say most shows in North Carolina, South Carolina are all bantams, but there are a couple of them that have a good entry of large fowl. But Karen did show up at a mostly bantam show. Man, I don't even think there was a large duck or a goose, was there?
I don't think so. I don't think
there were bantam ducks, a few bantam ducks, and I think 25 large fowl maybe.
Yeah. Well, and that's sort of what made me want to talk about today was like, depending on where you go to show, like I could have walked away with champion Rhode Island Red from that, not champion, what is it, best of breed? Because I would have been the only one, but it wouldn't have meant anything. Like, so that's what I guess I never really realized before, that a lot of it's got to do with who else is there and what else is entered. Because I feel like that there's a chance that you could, get some prizes on birds that they're just there. Is that?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. I mean, when somebody goes, "Oh, I won champion large fowl," and it's only 25 birds, and there wasn't, there was a bunch of junk. So,
well, 20. It's even got large fowl, but I'm like, even best of breed, right? There were quite a few best of breeds that there were only of breeds.
Yeah.
So I realize how important it is to keep them. I always been like, why do they have to have 9,000 entries in order? I'm like, that seems overwhelming and too much. And then I was like, well, I guess because there's a lot of breeds and a lot of varieties, and in order to have competition, there really does need to put on big shows.
Oh yeah, yeah, and there's very, for lack of a better term, there's very famous large fowl shows. Columbus would have had hundreds and hundreds of large fowl. Yeah. There's a show Thanksgiving weekend in Winston-Salem that has a lot of large fowl. Knoxville would have had a ton of large fowl. The Wisconsin shows, the Illinois, there's a huge show in Indiana, and so you got to kind of evaluate and say, if you're a large fowl breeder and you really thrive on wanting to compete at a high level with large fowl, you've got to select your shows and take your birds there. And it's just like, I just judged in South Carolina, and the southeast part of the United States is all Old English country, and I think I judged the Old English, and there were probably 350 of those. If you win top 5 in the Old English at a show like that, you're doing really good. But and I think that Karen, I think we were like maybe 25 to 35, can't remember the exact number, just in black Old English pullets. That wasn't males, females, that wasn't all, it was just the pullets. So, when you can get into a big show, and if you win best of breed on a Rhode Island Red, and there's 100 Rhode Island Reds entered, that's impressive.
Oh, I'm going to skip to this question because this is sort of what Beth asked, can a bird place first if it has no disqualifications but is poor quality overall?
The answer is absolutely. It can still have the minimum of breed type and characteristics, and it will depend. In stiff competition, I may say, depending on what it is, I may disqualify it and say lacks breed type, but it really depends. It depends on the judge. Generally, it can be poor quality, and most judges will still place it.
I do believe that there was one that you just wrote no wrong type or something, and so it didn't. You didn't place it, or you put it second. You might have put it reserve. I feel like you maybe put it reserve.
Or I will do it. I may, if there's a couple of them, especially in the juniors, I may put a second place. I won't place it first, and I'll explain why I placed it that way. So, yeah. I forget where Beth lives. I wonder where she lives.
We know where she lives. She lives in north central Arkansas.
Oh, that's right.
So thanks, Beth. That was helpful. Yeah. We don't have to remember. So, but the pros, one, it was an awesomely organized show. It was beautiful. And it went off amazing, even though I got a little lost keeping track of things just because I didn't understand for a bit. I had to go back and catch up clerking wise, but they did an excellent job. And there was a lot of happiness there. Like, I never really thought about how much it means to some people.
Oh.
Like how their birds do. And I mean, just.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Want me to respond to that too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Beth. If the only one of its breed or variety, will a poor quality bird still take best of breed or best of variety? Usually, yes. So if I place it a first and it's the only bird, I will. But if I place it a second, just because it's not qualified to get anything any higher, then I won't. And I might have did that when I was you were clerking with me, Karen. I might have said, there's no best of breed or best of variety in that class. So it depends on the severity of the poor quality. Beth, good question.
Yeah.
But I was starting to say to you, you learned clerking for the first time, and their system's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I was impressed with the organization of that show. I was impressed with the organization. I liked it.
And they did a good job of, just the way the birds are laid out. Sometimes when you're clerking, they'll tell you, hey, remember to tell Jim there's 4 birds from the class on the other side of the building. There's 6 that are over here. And by the way, Miss Clerk, we're so sorry that birds are kind of scattered. But I don't remember any birds being out of order.
No, it was beautiful. They did a great job. And I think the show ended and within an hour, it was all disassembled and all the kids.
You know what else I was impressed with you? I was kind of waiting around talking to a couple of people, and here's Karen breaking down Kuiper coops. She's like part of the show committee. That's what you do. Finding people to help take down cages is very difficult. They probably look at them like, wow, look at that warm body helping us take down cages. Hallelujah.
It seems like it was the thing to do at the time. I like looking around. I'm like, oh, looks time to disassemble. So gotta do it. Okay, so this sort of goes into, so Carol here, she loves to go to the shows, talk to the breeders, and try to judge the birds before the judges to see how she does with judging. And I mean, I think that's what everybody's instincts would be. I mean, I don't recommend walking around with a clipboard writing down who you think is best. That people are going to get. But
they do that.
I bet, are they?
Oh yeah, people will do that. They'll judge them, and they write it down, and they have their ideas. Matter of fact, in some of those slide pictures, there was an awesome class of white Plymouth Rock bantams. Well, some of those same exhibitors were showing 3 weeks later when I was judging in South Carolina, and I'm trying to remember that guy's name. He wants to come on our show, but anyways, we discussed him, and he had a bird that wasn't quite finished in Morganton, and then in Clemson, that bird was ready to roll. Man, she was awesome. And of course, he says, "Oh, I'll tell you." He says, "That's the one I liked in Morganton, but you didn't pick her; you picked her sister." So all these exhibitors, they are in they come, they have their picks in mind at who they're best, and they're not afraid to say, "Hey, Mr. Jim, you missed this one, buddy." I'm like, tell me why. So it's kind of fun.
So another thing at the show I noticed was that people, I'm not sure if it's just you or if it's all judges, but people asked you a lot more questions than I expected. Like just random people just walking around, and I read the brochure and it says do not go into the aisle while the judge is judging, and I guess I'm the only one who read that line on the show site. So is that ever, do people ever obey that, or is that, go ahead.
That is so funny. That's written in every show catalog.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. There's a couple factors that play into that. Number one, and I think this is the most important one, it depends how much a show will reinforce it. You know, people in the South, they're very hospitable. So, but some shows will rope them off and really, really enforce it. Others will rope it off and people don't stay out. And others just leave them open and the traffic is just horrendous. So, you know, I've judged, literally in the last 30 years, I've judged hundreds and hundreds of county fairs and state fairs. And that's where the traffic is. And, you know, you got fair goers and they're not going to block them out. So, you know, I'm used to bodies moving behind me and just, you know, so I've kind of learned, and I think any good judge has learned to adjust. Now, as far as questions go, I let them fire away. And unless I let show management, I've never in my judging career said, please don't talk to me while I'm judging. I've never done that. Now, I have had show management say, hey, clear the aisle or please don't talk to the judge while he's judging. So I think it's all part of the, to me, it's one of the greatest parts of publicizing our hobby, the birds. I love to talk to people while I'm judging. Now, sometimes if I got to get through some birds and we're heading toward a deadline or time crunch, or like other judges are a little bit more slower and I've got to help the show management going, can you grab another class? So, but generally I talk as much as the show management will give me opportunity.
Is there a time that's appropriate for, I mean, truly after judging? I mean, can you, a breeder?
Yeah, yes, you really shouldn't. If, let's just say for you, Karen, you enter a bunch of Rhode Island Reds. I finished the pullets and I haven't started the cockerels yet. And you're like, hey, those are my birds. What do you think? That's bad timing. You know, so now I might say in the middle of a class, if you say, hey, I have birds in the class, I will say, you know what? I may say, let me finish the class. Or if I know, I'm more apt to say, after the judging is completely over, I'll go walk the aisle with you. But see, I believe every exhibitor has the right to have the judge explain his or her placings. I think it's educational. I think it's important. You know, sometimes I've heard a judge say, that's just the way I placed them. So you're like, wow. But those judges don't get a whole lot of secondary hiring. So, anyways, did I answer your question?
You did. I'm gonna just play this other video I took of you while we were there. Just some of the times in which you stop to talk to people.
Oh, okay.
Want it to look like?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's just 3 males here, so I'm just comparing them
To each other. Yeah.
And in my mind and I have an idea of what, based on the standard of perfection, of what that bird should look like.
Yeah.
So they have rose combs, you know, I'm looking at all their color. I feel their bodies in my hand, checking the leg color. All that's going through my head while I judge about 100 birds an hour. How's that?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So once I've handled them all, then there's only 3 here. Then I'm gonna observe a little bit of how they look in the cage, and how they stand, and how they position themselves, because I have an idea again in my head of what that bird how it should look when it stands.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of they get a little spastic in the cages. But generally this breed is, he's probably got the best type. He's standing the best. I'm judging them right now at this very moment. And so it's their chance to perform so they can get a first place.
Okay, wow.
Questions you have?
I couldn't figure out how to stop it from doing that.
Us judges are supposed to go by the standard.
Yeah.
If they don't go by the standard, then they're violating their organization of the license that they have.
Oh, okay.
You should be judging by the standard for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good question. Yeah. Looking at a black East.
Oh, wait, sorry. I'll add that.
Jimmy, all about it. I always turn the beak up and see if there's any white under here.
Yeah.
All right, that's one. You notice how he's green sheen all the way through. And when you open this up, if his green sheen covers the whole entire wing. Now, he's a little rough in the wings.
Yeah.
But look when you open that. Look how the sheen goes all the way through. Beautiful.
Nice stuff.
Beautiful. Very nice. Got the green sheen all the way to the very out on the tip of the tail.
Yeah.
He's a little bit rough on that tail, but and then underneath, see, green sheen all the way around.
Yep.
He's a beautiful.
Nice stuff.
Very, very nice. Got a solid black bill. He didn't color it.
No.
Legs are not bad. Sometimes you're going to get a little bit of orange,
Yeah.
but that's in all of them.
Oh, yeah.
That's in all of them. That's an outstanding black East Indy right there.
Hey, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah. You, the bird, or the person you're talking to. Yeah.
It's funny watching those videos because now I'm like, oh, I would have added a couple more things, but that's the way it is when you're on the spot.
Yeah, you're just talking.
Yeah. So what'd you learn from those videos?
Well, that you're basically looking for the same things at a poultry show that I'm looking for at home when you're selecting your own birds. You know what I mean? Like you're just doing it a lot faster and leaving out, I mean, more on appearance than anything else at the show.
Yeah. I mean, that was some prime examples of interacting with. That was Jimmy Sorrells there at the end on the duck, and he runs the show, and then that Seabright interaction, that was just somebody who came in the show. I don't think they had any birds on the show.
No, they, like I said, I just wanted to. So they just were like, "What are you looking for in those birds?" And I was like, I would, not that I would expect this from you, but like in my mind, that's a big sigh, and I'm like, that is too big of a question to answer while I'm doing something else. Like that's like the whole premise of what's a poultry show for. And I was like, he actually answered it, got to the bottom of it, but I laughed because I cut it out. But I mean, because he couldn't really understand it, but he really did. He goes, "I've heard that a lot of judges don't use the standard." You know, and you were like, well, that's not an option. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I would say, well, I kind of doubt that. I don't think I've ever run into a licensed judge, but there are fair judges that have never been licensed because they just have a shortage all across the United States, you know?
Well, that sort of, to me, if you're just getting into poultry shows and you're just looking online, it's sort of like a Yelp review, right? You're going to hear a lot more complaints about judging than you're going to hear, wow, that guy was super accurate and I mean, people don't get online to laud how wonderful something, a show was. So you hear more from the disgruntled people than you do from the happy people.
Amazing how that happens. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Carol has that she's seen birds get a certain mark, then it's marked out with another score. What happens there?
That's a great question, Carol. Couple things. One, when I'm judging, I will use a check system and a plus system, but I try to make a lot of comments, and I'll put like plus type or minus type, and then somebody says, "Well, what's that?" I'm saying it's got good type or it's got bad type. Plus color, minus color. Poor head, or poor leg color, or narrow feathers, or poor feather quality, or poor comb. There's so many, and I try to write a lot of notes. And one of my mentors growing up, his name was Ken Cook. And Ken's passed away now, but he's an Oregonian. Lived in Salem, Oregon, and then and he had a huge influence on me. And he was very slow judge, extremely slow, but he wrote notes, and people loved that. And so I learned, I kind of adopted that early on. I'm like, I'm going to write notes. Now, with that being said, let's say I'll just use the, I think there were 25 black Old English pullets. I will handle all those birds. And out of those 25, I'll put a check mark or a plus. If I put a check mark, I've already deleted that bird from being one that I will look at again. And typically that's because of type or body type or something major wrong with it. And I'll just put a check. So then I've got 25, and let's just say 11 of them have a plus. Now I've got to narrow them down. And we talked through this on another show. But those are my marks. Now, your question of there are times, matter of fact, it might happen when Karen was clerking with me, that I somehow went 1, 3, 4, 5, and I didn't place the second bird. So I might have to go back and do a little bit of reordering. And so I will mark it out and put the more accurate number or placing. But also, when there's been times when I'll flip 1 and 2, I'll go back and go, man, that second bird is really, if I'm going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I'm going to go, I want that second place bird to be first. But once I finish the class, I don't go back and change anything. If someone says you missed a major fault on that first place XYZ, you don't go back and change them unless it's something really significant. And I don't remember in my judging life that happening in recent years. So like a major disqualification, So there have been times when somebody else picked a bird and I'm like, the bird's it's got a disqualification, and we just stop right there. It doesn't go any higher. And so anyways, did I answer Carol's question? Sure.
Basically, you don't know. You're not the judge at that show, but but just means they rethought it somehow.
Yeah. Is that helpful, Carol?
Yeah.
Anyways.
He's saying yes.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to let you use the bathroom for a minute, and we're going to play the long Facebook Live video you did at my place. We're going to transition to selecting at my birds instead of at the show. You okay with that?
How long is that?
It is 7 minutes and 40 seconds. So
okay. I am going to use the restroom.
Yeah. So
go for it.
Karen has been breeding standard bred Rhode Island Reds since 2015, and this is her 6th generation of birds. And today, I'm actually going to turn this around. Today, 65 males, and we kept 12 males. That's all we kept. Hey, we got somebody. Trevor, how are you, buddy? We kept 12 males. Got a little bit of a weak signal. I'll keep trying. I'm going to explain to you. There's Karen. Hi, Karen. I'm going to explain to you a little bit of what we did here. We had males that ranged from 21. Actually, I could ask you that. They were from 21 to what?
Yes, we had a group at 21 weeks old, and then a group at 25 and a group at 26.
Okay. And would you rather me talk or interview you or both? All right. So that's Karen. She's the one that's been doing all the hard work and preparing the birds. But as I said, we had 65 males and we kept 12 of them. And as Karen said, they range from 21 weeks to 26 weeks. And as Karen said right before I went live, she's like, you know, it's a perfect reminder when we got to the 21-week-old birds, you can see that they are very, very much not finished. And some of these are culls.
Yeah, all of these are culls.
Oh, she wants to make sure that we are showing you some of these birds that we're showing. These are culls. And so at 21 weeks, it's a lot harder because you really need to judge. You need to select Rhode Island red males at 21 weeks. You've got to, they're not finished. So you have to ask the question, what will they look like? You try and get a little vision what you see their potential is. Now, if they got bad combs, like that male's got a bad comb, you get short body types. There's a number of things that you can tell at 21 weeks that will probably last into his adulthood. So, but you want to be very careful. As Karen was saying, we've got a
For the keep and seize.
this is a slow growing bird, a Rhode Island red. It really, the males actually need about 26 to 28 weeks before you really want to select them. Now here's a male we're keeping, and he's only is he a 21-week-old bird? Oh, I see the 21. These are all 21 week. These are some males that we kept, and we felt like we saw we see the potential in their body type, as well as in their the way they carry themselves, their heads, and the way they're going to develop. But you know, another thing Karen said, they're slow-growing birds. These young birds aren't even crowing, and that crowing that you just heard was probably a 26 or a 28-week-old bird. And so that's just something that we wanted to note. She sets this up like it's a poultry show, except it's all Rhode Island Reds. It's all Rhode Island Reds. Now, she has, as I said, she has been breeding these Rhode Island Reds since 2015. And I will tell you, last year, she started doing pedigree breeding. Now, pedigree, if you recall, I've taught on this before, pedigree means that it's a single male on a single female. So every one of these cards, you can see on each one of these coop cards, it shows the father and the mother. Of course, Karen's a bit OCD in a really, really good way. You see it's got grandpa and great-grandpa and great-great, and it's got, so she's doing pedigree breeding. And so what she will do is, after she looks at all of the birds that we selected, she will go back to her records and she will share with me, hey, Stephen, how are you, buddy? Greetings to my Cameroon buddy. Hallelujah. Anyway, so she will be able to tell. It was so cool because when we were selecting these birds, she would say to me, these four all have the same mother and the same, or you know, the same mother, the same father. And then we would look at another set of parents and we were comparing the males. She would say on some of these, she would say, those 7 or 8 males came from my best egg producing female. And so I just thought I'd give you a a little overview of what we did today here in Apex, North Carolina. Let me look at my notes. Karen, what else might I mention here?
I don't know, but while you're doing it, let's not show the culls.
Yeah, she doesn't like me. What's showing? These are the good ones.
Those are the, well, keep for now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, these were the top 9 that we kept, and obviously some of them are, they're in a cage and they are a little bit lazy and they're ready to get out of here. And the sun is starting to beat on the birds, but good body types, good color. And I will say that what Karen has been really working on these last 6 generations of her Rhode Island Reds is type. Obviously, we're constantly watching the type. We've done a good job of looking at tracking the size and the weight of growth on these birds. And if anything, you get birds that are too heavy. If anything, they get a little bit big. And then, and one thing that she has greatly improved over the last several generations is the egg production, correct?
And the feather quality.
And the feather quality. That is true. Yeah, the last 2 years we've done a whole lot of work on the feather quality, and the Reds are they're really, really looking good. So
have some color.
Yeah, we have
Color issues.
yeah, just a little bit of some of the brown Rhode Island Red or the mahogany color in the tails, but we're continuing to work on that. But there's a great head on that bird. There are some great Rhode Island Red heads here. There's a comb with a little bit of some points that are leaning over, but beautiful bodied bird. And these are really, out of her young males, these were the top 9 that we kept out of the 65. So take a look at us real quick. Hey, we had fun doing this together. So thank you for joining us, and have a very, very good day. Bye-bye now.
I know that was long, but I felt like it would remind or let. Hi, welcome back. I'm embarrassed. I don't like showing my birds, so there they are for everybody to critique.
Actually, I think that's Rip will be. I'm sure Rip enjoyed that because it really articulates your record keeping, and so yeah, I love that. It's a great video, and
so
those spontaneous ones work out good.
Well, let me just talk about a few things in there. So I was struck by the difference. Like generally, you hear, or at least I hear, don't let a poultry judge at a poultry show pick your breeders for you. Like, that's something that maybe a bird that shows well is not a bird that breeds well. I mean, is there any? I mean, to me, it looks like you're looking for the same things in both places. So tell me opinions. I know that's a question of a whole show of itself, and we don't have that much time, but.
Trying to figure out how straightforward to be, but I think I'll just be straightforward. I would never let a judge completely pick my birds. Never. And even when I'm breeding and showing, I know what birds I like and why I favor them when I enter them in a show. Now, so, and I could expand on that, but maybe you can come back and ask me some questions. Now, the flip side is this. I don't mind at all when I go, you know what? These are my top 5 females. These are my top 5 pullets. And I'm probably only going to keep 4. I'm going to let, Judge Jim Adkins, I'm going to catch him after the judging and talk through my 5 birds because I'm only picking 4. I'm keeping 4. So I don't mind using a coach or a judge as a coach, but if you know what you're doing, Karen, even if you're learning and you're spending all this time on breeding, I only handle the bird for a few minutes, if that, so, and that bird, it just might not be finished. And so I'm very careful to ever tell anybody. Now, I will tell you, I have been in shows and I'll judge somebody's same birds with 10 hens in the class. And as soon as I place them, they're done. There's, you know, if I place 1 through 5, the 5 that didn't place, for sale, for sale, for sale, for sale. And, you know, some people are just 100% whatever birds the judge picks today are the ones that I'm keeping. And I just think you should be careful with that.
Well, and I guess a lot of it is about we talked about your mission or your goal, your mission with your birds, right? So we're going through the birds. Now that 65 that I had there were already about 15 that didn't make it to the table, right? Like that, you know, we're not going to look at them because they're not going to be picked no matter what. And obviously health and vigor are the easiest to do of that, but there are some other things too. But, you know, you're looking at it and you're like, ooh, I really like that one. And I'm looking at the stuff going, oh no, that one has a bad pelvic bone. Not that one. I mean, like, so some stuff that, you know, you're looking over the bird well, but you're not feeling every bone in its body. You're not seeing how it behaves at the feeder and how it reacts to small children. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not right. There's more to it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's well said. Well said. And you know, I've had people enter birds and I mean, this happens. I'll place a bird first and I'll have a breeder say, that's my least favorite female. I'm not taking, you know, she's going to the pot or she's getting sold. You know, many times I've had exhibitors, breeders say, no, the bird I like best, you didn't even place. That happens.
Beth said she had a black silky cockerel take best of breed once that was short of toe. So maybe everything else about that bird was great. I don't know. That might be a disqualification.
Well, obviously that's a breed that has 5 toes, and that judge missed it. Remember, judges aren't saints; they're not perfect, but it's good that you caught that. Definitely.
As Rip saying that. You know, one thing after we select, so, you know, and the birds go down, I will say, I did want to point out, because I keep on emphasizing it, that, you know, we kept 12 out of 8 out of 65. So 18.5%, if you want to go with percentages. So that's still way too high. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to give them another 6 months and then we'll try to get down to 10%. And then after that, we're going to keep trying to go down percentages. So it's not like once they make it past, they make it past you. There's still a lot more culling to do, but they got to finish growing. And even the older ones, you know, at 26 weeks, they still had a lot more, and they blossom so much once there's less. I don't know if it's me mentally that, like, you can see them now. Like, there are so many fewer birds. Now I can see each male better, or if it's just because there's so many fewer birds, they literally do mature more. I'm not sure which, but
yeah.
But
yeah,
when
I mean, it can be a lot of things, but definitely that's true for me when I'm selecting New Hampshires, my New Hamps. You know, I start getting down to smaller count of males. I'm like, wow. You know, obviously I'm selecting along the way, and you're getting rid of the not so good ones, and then you're like, sweet, man, I love the 3 birds I kept, you know.
That's what now when I walk down and I'm feeding, my males are all lined up on one side, still in small groups with each other, and I'm just like, oh, you guys are beautiful, much more attractive than you were as children.
You've become a Rhode Island red lover, haven't you?
I have, but I'm going to say this for everybody just to know, I am so grateful for Jim's help, because I still am only at this point capable of looking at the parts of a bird. I can look at their tails, I can look at their legs, I can look at their heads. I cannot look at the bird. I don't have the art of that.
Listen, some people don't. I mean, I think you're getting better and better and better every year and every time we do selection, because I will line her up and say, Karen, you pick them. And you're great at saying, I'm picking this bird because of this, this, and this. And your reasoning, you know, we'll call it oral reasoning like we did in 4-H. You're very, very good at it. But there are people who they just the eye never gets it. And I remember an old timer when I was learning how to judge, he says, listen, you may have it all up here, but if you can't get it to the end of the pen and place the right birds, you'll never make it. And there are just, I'm very fortunate that I was mentored by people who could get it to the end of the pen. And but you're getting better and better at it. So I'm curious, what did Rip say? He said, I did. The last male on the left looked awesome.
You said, I bet Rip enjoyed that. So he responded that he did enjoy that. So,
so the one on the left, I'm just making sure it wasn't a cull.
Yeah. I'm assuming when we were looking at the 9, but
oh, gotcha.
But let's go to Carol. So she said, oh wow, that video really helps. Now I know how to compare my birds. Excellent. I've just been looking at them in their coops. You got any advice for people trying to, not everybody can go buy a bunch of cages and tables and, and you also, one thing I don't do while you're here, but in order to make it to the cage, like they have to be functional. They have to, you always want to, especially with large fowls, see that they walk well. There's no limping. There's no, do you know what I mean? Like a normal gait, stuff like that. So there's some stuff you do want to see on the ground, but for me,
actually, you want to see a lot on the ground before that bird is ever put into a cage. The way he walks, the way he acts is all part of the process. Now, Karen, the fact that she is new at this in the last 10 years, she'll still maybe put a borderline, Jim, I don't like this bird, but I wanted you to confirm it. But I mean, that bird needs to be able to move around on the ground. So what you see on the ground is part of that evaluation process, and you're going to put it up into an evaluation cage. And I'll just say, I mean, you learn selection by experience. You don't learn selection by videos. This may be a good coaching tool, but the best way to learn how to select is handle the birds, and process and read your standard and then look at the bird again and remember, get a mental image of what that bird's supposed to look like. And I mean, my birds don't go in cages like Karen's do when I select New Hampshires. Any of my breeders. Now, part of that is she's got more cages than I do, but I may set some up on the ground, but you learn that. And you need to be patient, people. Be patient in the process. By God's grace, I've been doing this now for over 40 years. And so you learn and you process. If you can get cages like this, that's great. But you don't have to do it that way. So,
would you consider keeping a limping cockbird if you know it's because of an injury?
Well, the bigger issue there, Beth, is if he's able to mate. I mean, if he's a good male and he has an injury, but he's just one of your superior birds, if he's able to mate, oh, absolutely, keep him.
Before I put that question up, I had a question for you. Oh,
yeah.
So and part of the reason, this is the first time in 3 years, I think, Jim has come to look at my young males. Normally where he comes in is after I've picked my 9 and they've grown up a little further, but I was like, oh, timing wise, it worked for me to keep them this time. And that's where my nervousness of, like, and have I been throwing away the best ones? So therefore they're not even there for him to select. So, but each time he comes and I have picked out who I think I want to keep and it matches fairly well with who he wants to keep, then I'm feeling a little bit more confident than
you have way more confidence.
Okay. That's true. But I don't
Well,
know
you were going to mention, I remember we were talking about it on backstage. Selection at home is far more important, far more significant than selecting at a show. And it's just like Karen was saying, especially if you got a personality like Karen that is and this is a compliment, OCD on record keeping and details and so forth. When I'm judging fast, you detail people be like, how did you just do that? You have to stop and let's discuss this and let's evaluate and let's measure and let's count and let's do this and let's do that. You can do that all at home. I would much rather. I mean, I love judging. I love it. But there is nothing like, I mean, I literally look forward to coming to Karen's and going through 65 males, especially when the sun's shining and it's nice out. All the cages are clean, and she's got, like I said in the video, they're all marked grandpa, great grandparents, and great. She's got 7 no, I'm just kidding. But so, I mean, selection at home is by far the best way to make sure you don't miss the best birds.
And now I remember what it was I was going to say that you were thinking. So when I'm doing it by myself and the last time I set up like 4 cages, just 4, and I culled birds that I was sure were a cull right away. And took pictures of any defects because, you got to have those figured out. But, I took a video of each one and ended up watching the videos. You know what I mean? Like I just put the number on the cage and film the number, film the bird, move around. And I felt like I saw things in that video that I didn't see in real life. Like just because of the physical trauma of handling them. Do you know what I mean? Like you're thinking about, oh, am I going to drop them? And oh, is this? And so, I mean, I gave each bird a good 2-minute video, and that really helped me decide, narrow them down between which 20 down to which 9,
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I recommend trying that if you have if anybody has a phone.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about our next show, or our lack of a next show. So. Well,
listen, next week, Karen and I were talking. I'm going to, on Monday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, I'm going to be on an airplane. I'll be in the States, but you'll love this, Karen. I am going to a Green Bay Packer football game this weekend. And then on Monday, I have to travel to Dallas-Fort Worth for some other meetings and coming back on Wednesday. So no show next week. And then we moving into the Christmas season. So we'll actually be, this is our last show for 2021. Realize I know some of you don't start crying and sobbing and so forth because this is December the 6th. So it will be next year. We'll keep you posted. We'll be back sometime after the 1st of January. Is that okay with you, Karen?
Yeah, I'm the one causing the problem around Christmas time because the kennel is just too busy
it's a busy time for all of us. And so I encourage you, and I know a lot of you do this, but going back and watching some of the past shows. And don't forget, Karen's going to be on a record-keeping show with Rip on Wednesday night. Show that again. Can you show that again?
Yes, I can. Let's see. Yep. So it's on the Gold Standard Poultry Solutions, either YouTube or if it's on Facebook, you got to be a member of the group. So looks like 863 people already managed to find it and know to become a member, but you'll need to become a member of that group if you want to watch on Facebook. But on YouTube, I think everybody can watch, and it'll be there afterwards. And I don't know.
And I assure you, you will benefit.
And you will benefit. Bored to tears. No, Rip is very entertaining. So
yeah. Is he?
Of course.
Oh, cool.
Which is good.
Well, let's see. Yeah, we have a Christmas vacation Bible school and Wednesday night, but I can always rewatch it.
Yeah. Oh, this is the type of thing that bores you to death. That's why.
That is true.
That's why I'm doing it on his show. I'm just teasing.
I think we did it on our show, didn't we?
Not yet. So.
Oh.
I keep saying.
Well, that'll be an easy fill-in sometime when we are pressed.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Beth says, thanks for coming, Beth. I appreciate the interaction. You help us out a lot, and you have a wonderful Christmas too. So,
Karen, thank you for all you do. There are times when we don't have. She'll shoot me an email or a text last week, say, "What are we doing next Monday?" I'm like, I don't know, and then she comes up with some magical thing. Pulls it out of her hat. So I appreciate all that you do. So it's fun. Today was awesome.
All right. Thanks. We'll see you later.
Hey, bless you all. Have Merry Christmas. See you next year.